Now I want to switch over to Michael Landsman. And Michael, we've known each other for what, almost 18, 20 years now.
Yeah, a long time.
Grown up in the business together, if you will. So kind of it's always fun to see how it fluctuates back and forth, right? When it's the seller's market, buyers have to waive all kinds of contingencies, and then and Michael and I had a couple of deals that were in contract in the height of the pandemic, and we had to adjust prices and give money back for the sellers to actually close. Where are we right now, and what's going on, and is everybody happy or unhappy?
Well, I tell you, first of all, the happiness question. I wish if I could answer that one, it would be helpful for everyone. But first of all, I want to thank you, Martin, for inviting me to speak this afternoon with you guys and talk a little bit about the market. And as I see, you and I have been in the business for a long time. There's
Right.
9/11, there's 2008, and then there's COVID. And after 9/11, I remember that was when I was learning how to negotiate out of deals, because we had clients that were walking away from 10% deposits because the market dropped 25% overnight, right? Which was sort of, and then 2008 is sort of a similar thing. Now, maybe not quite as severe because we could sort of see what was going to happen. It wasn't as abrupt. Obviously, no one was predicting 9/11, right? It was not.
Right.
At least no one outside the intelligence agencies, right? They weren't telling us about it if they were predicting it. And then you had COVID, which interestingly enough, obviously started in, well, wherever it started, but in Europe, it became a problem before it became a problem here. And then we all watched like a, kind of like a small, like a car accident sort of on right? And then all of a sudden, boom, the city got shut down. And again, we had that same kind of post 9/11 situation where, to your point, we were negotiating, obviously as sellers, we were really trying to hold, and I think we held those deals together really well.
Yep.
In retrospect, I'm proud of how effective we were able to hold them together. And now we're still dealing, obviously, with COVID, right? And it's a lot different than it was in March of 2020. But that is still a factor. The monkey pox isn't quite a factor yet. Hopefully, it won't be. But as John was saying, the interest rates have also been kind of the star player. So now we're in this kind of post-COVID, maybe COVID. We're in the variant recovery now, right? and to your point, what we're seeing is people who we're not seeing as many foreign buyers show up right now as we were.
That is true.
And I think the data bears that out, right, in terms of that, because they came back with a vengeance as soon as the airports opened up again, and they were buying apartments like hamburgers. It was actually a lot of fun there for about 6 months. But now we're seeing New Yorkers who are trading one asset for another, and they're trading in the same market, right? So you've got people that maybe their life, the kids are going off to college in September, and they're testing the market to both buy and sell. And that's where a team like your team and obviously our law firm work really, really well together, because we help these clients transition between these two deals. And, that's actually very helpful for the clients to have a team come in and sort of pre-diligence what they're going to be offering on, in some cases, making sure that it's going to go by. It's going to, the diligence is going to pass muster, maybe even get the lender involved, right? To John's point, and that's a great point, after that Sunnyside disaster, that collapse, they're asking, insurance companies and banks, attorneys are asking questions they've never asked in 20 plus years. So we have to just be careful and mindful of that. And then, of course, we're trying to time the deals So the clients close, and if they're not in the camp where they can just spend a couple of months in the country, which not everyone has, two places they own. We help them navigate that. So that's really kind of what we're seeing now. We're seeing New Yorkers who have been in the market for a long time, who are now looking to change due to personal circumstances. Either the kids are growing up, or they're having kids, or whatever. That there's a life change that is market. What would you say? You would say irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant. Right. It's irrelevant to them whether they're hearing the buzz that it's a good market or a bad market. It's the market, and they're going to navigate the market, and they're going to have a team like your team and my team help them successfully navigate the market and pull off these two transactions. You certainly don't want to buy and sell in different markets. You want to try and do it in the same market if you can. And we've heard that, mantra from the financial people. They want to trade in the same market. And ultimately, and just with those three most recent market events, I'd call them three earthquakes, right? The 9/11 earthquake, the 2008 earthquake, and the COVID earthquake. We've weathered, and certainly the real estate market in New York City has weathered those storms pretty well. And ultimately, at each point after one of those events, the market's gone back up again. So,
right.
So that's really kind of what we're seeing. And you guys can speak to the market, better than I can. But from a law firm perspective, that's what we're seeing. We're not seeing a flood of deals, but we are seeing deals come in, and deals are getting done. Sometimes you have to pull a few extra teeth, but
right.
But look, and from my perspective, and by the way, a shameless plug here, my book just came out a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's awesome, Michael. I
have to do that.
Expecting a signed copy. You've been working on that book for 2 years.
Yeah, I've been working on this book. This is my COVID project, but with all seriousness, in my book I talk about this. The interest rates are still ridiculously low. I think people got tricked somehow into thinking that if the rates go above 2.5% or 3.5% or 4%, it's too expensive, and that's not the reality. The reality is the mortgage rates in the New York, and certainly in the United States, are incredibly low, and they've been incredibly low for years. I mean, there isn't another country that gives you the opportunity to borrow money at a fixed rate for either 10 years or 30 years. They don't even have 30-year mortgages in the UK. The product doesn't exist because the banks aren't willing to take that risk. So when they need some upside, and 30 years is a long way to wait for an upside for a loan. So I'm pretty bullish on borrowing money at anything below 7%, really. People are going to think I'm crazy, but my first mortgage 20 years ago was about 7%. And then I refinanced it, over time. And now I've paid it down quite a bit, but I haven't refinanced. I didn't refinance at the absolute bottom just because 3.75 for a jumbo is still a gift from the gods. I mean, people don't.
Right.
No, it is really.
No, it is. It's very true. Most New Yorkers have a real estate ladder of 4 steps. Your entry-level home, right? Which for some people, honestly, is a $2 or $3 million apartment. For others, it's a $500,000 studio. It doesn't matter where you start. Entry level, and then you have the upgrade, which would be a 2 or 3 bedroom. And then for a lot of people who choose to have families, they want to get the big 2,000 square foot plus home for the family. And then the fourth one is what I call empty nester phase, which pre-pandemic usually meant downsizing, but recently we've had people not only increase in size but in price because they want to make it their palatial pad, if you will. So Michael, the question that I have for you, and then I'm going to go to you, John. Uh, you mentioned a little bit, like, what is it best to talk with an attorney before you start doing this? And what are some of the questions or things that someone that's doing the buy sell, what should they be thinking about?
Well, look, many of our clients do call us, so I do think it's a good idea, especially if you have a relationship with a client. I mean, a lot of our clients here at the firm are repeat clients, right? We've represented through all these phases. In fact, now we're representing their kids starting these. And you know, the questions usually start to come to us when they're actually serious about making an offer, because they want to look at closing costs, and that can be a big factor. And as you know from the recent sponsor deals, it used to be that the sponsors were foisting all the transfer taxes on the purchasers, and now a lot of that stuff can be negotiable, right? Because they're willing to negotiate. So they want to drill down a little bit on the closing cost, and they also want to drill down a little bit on the diligence to see if there is going to be any issues. You know, they have a friend who's heard about the building, and what do they know? Is there going to be a lot line window? You know, those sort of technical questions, because they don't want to spin a lot of wheels,
right?
Unless they know and they have a reasonably high confidence that the building is going to diligence well, and that we're not going to find anything that would sort of disrupt that, which is rare, frankly. I mean, if you do take a look, and the tools that we have now available with the online libraries for offering plans, and we've done deals, and you know, we've done thousands of deals now, so chances are somebody's done a deal in a building and we know who the managing agent is and so forth. Then that's really the first calls we get, is what they're looking at. And then the same thing is, well, this is what we're selling, give us the cost on that, and you know, is there a flip tax? You know, drill down on those.
Got it.
Some potentially big ticket items. And this happens with our tenants that are buying. Sometimes a tenant will buy from the landlord they're renting from, right? So that can happen too. Was there a flip tax imposed in the building? And for those people that might not be familiar with that, it's not really a tax, it's a transfer fee. They call it a flip tax, but you know, if a building has changed the policies, they want us to verify that, and you know, that's a few phone calls, and sure, there's a flip tax, or there isn't a flip tax, or good news, the purchaser pays the flip tax, or the seller pays the flip tax. So those are the types of deals, you know, that we get involved in pretty regularly. So we're managing the financial expectations in the sense of the closing costs, and then helping them with structuring. Some people want some kind of timeline. You know, we're going to.
That was what my follow-up
right?
was. You know, how do you buy and sell, and am I going to be homeless for 6 months, or how does that work?
Exactly. You know, and in a market like this, which I think you said earlier, that it's sort of a kind of almost a happy time, if you can call it that, right? In other words, sellers are sort of feeling good about their offers, and purchasers are feeling good because they're not getting, you know, they're not in a desperate frenzy for properties. Then we can work out, hopefully, something like a post-closing possession or holdover. I represented a commercial real estate broker last year, and we were able to negotiate some good post-possession agreements for his current apartment that would bridge him into the new apartment. And,
oh, great.
And that, and you know, from doing this yourself, that can be really helpful for sellers who are looking to buy and don't want to, you know, to your early point, liquidate any equities, for example, in a market that's down 15%, right? Because that's going to, you know, that $1 million they're trying to raise is actually costing them, you know, 15% more, or whatever, you know, on average. So we're really kind of, you know, coaching right? We're sort of helping coach, and really it's a confidence game, right? The legal game is a confidence game. It's giving people the confidence that we've been doing this a long time. We can help you with this, no matter what it is. We've seen it, you know, and generally that's true. So that's really when we get involved, and we give people the confidence to call us whenever they have any questions, and we work on the weekends and, you know, all of that jazz, because the market never sleeps, and you know that, Mark. Had a lot of calls over the weekends. The market never really sleeps. You know, it's kind of funny because stockbrokers, you know, have a difficult job because absolutely every asset is for sale at all times during the market hours, right? Because, you know, you could buy stock in Google, but you can't buy apartment 2F at 530 First Avenue every minute of every open market day. So it is a different type of market, but it's a market nevertheless. And a lot of stuff does come up on the weekends, you know, as Alex will tell you, when he's done at the gym, he's out showing apartments. And you know, their client's got a call about a deal point, you know, a legal point. So that, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, no, that was very helpful, Michael. Thank you.